All right, hey everybody, and welcome to the Facebook Pixel Conversions, Traffic, and More. This is the final lesson of our 4-week training program, Optimization, Tracking, and Strategies. And all along, because this is the first time, as you probably know, the first time I've run this program. And as we've moved along, I've kind of realized that this last lesson would be a little bit of loose ends, some of the things that we didn't yet cover in the first 3 sessions. And so it's kind of a potpourri in some cases where we were talking about a very specific topic maybe in the first 3. So be patient with me, but I think there's a lot of information in this one because we're trying to stuff the rest in here in the fourth lesson. Some of it, like when we get to dynamic ads, the problem with that topic, and we kind of saw that a little bit last week too, is that it depends a lot upon your setup and the software you use. But I want to make sure that you have the resources you need to get that set up. So I'll go through some basics of dynamic ads. But I also make sure to link to some of the resources that you'll need to get more of those details based on how your site's set up. But that's just one of the many topics we'll talk about today. So how's it going to work? We've seen that these have been on the longer end. I got to tell you, you're getting your money's worth. My other training programs last year, some of those sessions would last 45, 50 minutes to an hour. But we have just so much info to talk about regarding the Facebook Pixel, and there's always lots of questions too. But we'll start with talking about last week's assignment. If you have any questions there, if not, that's fine too. We'll get to today's presentation before we get to the final assignment, and then we'll get to that last Q&A. So ask those questions as you got them. Of course, we'll be recording, allow up to 24 hours. Usually it'll be 3 or so, 4 maybe. But and today might be a little bit longer. I've got all kinds of sports stuff with the kids. But anyway, it'll be sometime tonight. Of course, it'll be emailed to you when it's ready. I hope you've gone to access the prior replays within the members area. And so you can access that at powerhittersclub.com, but your login credentials would have already been sent to you. So last week we talked about custom conversions and events. So this is really the building blocks of much of what we're going to talk about today in terms of optimization and tracking. And so really 2 different ways that you can create, 2 different ways you can go about tracking optimization. So last week's assignment was, first of all, create a custom conversion for a product with purchase value. Second, create a custom conversion for an opt-in. And third, create an event for a product with purchase value. Fourth, create an event for an opt-in. 5, and this is really where, again, it comes into play if you needed extra documentation for how your website was set up. Read the documentation from related links in the replay notes. I feel like that was really necessary for a lot of people. And just to recap here, I think for most websites, this is definitely not all of them, but most websites, really what you need is custom conversions. And they're really, really easy to set up. It's just a lot like creating a website custom audience, that there's no extra coding needed. And all you got to do is know the URL of where someone would go after completing conversion. Piece of cake. And that there's no complexity there. The complexity happens once you get into creating events, and creating a single event is no problem. It's pretty easy. The problem becomes, if you've got an e-commerce site, if you want to inject that code across your site, how are you going to go about it? And that's going to depend upon the software you use and whatnot. So Nicole says, I followed your instructions to set up a custom conversion for the thank you page after submitting a form. In Facebook reporting, I see 3 conversions. However, none were submitted on the actual page when I view the analytics. What could be causing that discrepancy? First of all, let me see. Make sure you sign the thank you page after submitting a form. Okay, good, that's good. And to be clear, that Facebook reporting you're referring to is for the ad itself, I would assume. The only thing that I can think of is that were you possibly targeted in that ad? If you had seen that ad, clicked on that ad, and then in the process you've also been editing that thank you page or putting the code there or anything like that, that could contribute. Otherwise, it's a matter of really there's only one reason Facebook would report that. It's because the custom conversion that you're using, someone who saw or clicked on your ad visited that page. So is there any other way someone can visit that page? Any other reasons people could visit that page? Make sure that custom conversion is set up properly. I would go back and look at that URL to make sure that's correct. But really, those are the primary things that come to mind for me. Again, these are pretty straightforward, so you can confirm it pretty easily just by going back and viewing your custom conversion again and making sure the URL is correct and making sure that that's not a URL that anyone can visit other than as a result of submitting that form. So hopefully that helps. All right, let's get to today's plan. So first of all, we're going to talk about Facebook conversion optimization. And, along the way, we'll talk a little bit about other types of optimization too, just because I think it's relevant in this discussion. Since when we're going to try to get conversions, we may not always want to optimize for conversions. So we'll dig into that a little bit. But I don't want to get bogged down there because I originally, when I put together these slides, I had many more slides. But I feel like some of it was kind of bogging down into some unnecessary details regarding optimizing for other actions. So I'll still mention it though. Then we'll talk about Facebook conversion tracking. And so it's not just a matter of how you track. Look, we know now we've got events, we've got custom conversions, and we know we can track those things. Okay. But there's more to it than that. It's what is Facebook? What are Facebook attribution? How do they define attribution? Why do numbers not necessarily add up sometimes? Kind of like what Nicole was getting at. But there's a lot that we can cover there too in conversion tracking. Again, dynamic ads. This is one of those topics that there's a lot we can talk about. We will talk about quite a bit here. But to wrap it up, I want to make sure I send you on the right path to get the right information based on how your website is set up. And some funnel strategies. I've been talking all along that I want to talk about some strategies as well and kind of give you a better sense of what I'm doing and how, and maybe even some budgets and whatnot. Because I've said it over and over, I don't just sell stuff all day. And really, if you were to look at my campaigns today, the past week has been a higher budget than I normally use. But I've been spending upwards of $1,000 a day lately. But the amount I'm spending on selling is really, really small in the grand scheme of things. So this is all funnel for me. I'm targeting a very small group of people to sell. But a big part is building my email list because I also know how important that email list is to selling. I send out a blast, and next thing I know, I've got a whole bunch of signups or something. It's really, really important. So I'll get to those funnel strategies. We'll talk about what's next. I got this landing page together really, really fast because it's really just a wait list. So hopefully everything's working properly there. I'll let you know more about that. And we'll get to the final Q&A. Once again, basic assumptions before we roll that you or a client have a website, Facebook pixel's been added already. And actually, hopefully, you've created custom conversions and events if as necessary. And of course, conversions occur on your website. Now, it's either your website or a website you control where you've been able to place code on. And really, the one alternative to that is as long as wherever sales are made, when the purchase is complete, that they're redirected to a thank you page that you control, that you can place code on. So the key takeaways I hope you have today is, first of all, understand how to use Facebook optimization. Second, understand how to track conversions with Facebook ads. Understand how to create dynamic ads if you need them. Not everybody needs them. And understand some basic funnel strategies. Just the strategies, could be a whole nother lesson in itself. But we'll get to really some basics there in terms of what I do. So first up, Facebook conversion optimization. So how optimization works. I'm trying to simplify this as much as I can because I know this is something that often confuses people. So the first thing is you tell Facebook your campaign objective. Now, Facebook has greatly improved this flow over the years. It used to be much more confusing to people as far as how you actually go about doing some of these things. So first of all, you tell Facebook what your objective is. What is it that you're trying to accomplish from this campaign? Are you trying to get conversions? Are you trying to drive traffic? You're just trying to get engagement? What is it? Because based on that, they will then simplify and provide optimization options. So your objective determines that. If you say your objective is to drive more traffic, they will not provide a conversions optimization option in your ad set. So Facebook is trying to simplify this for you to make it as easy as possible. So different objectives, different campaign objectives will have different optimization options. And then you tell Facebook what action it is you want Facebook to optimize for. So essentially, what that means is Facebook has a general idea of what kind of people have performed a certain action. And one way they know this is because of the pixel on your website. So you've created a custom conversion and you've got 50 conversions coming in a day for something, and then they're able to see who these people are, what's similar among them. And then you say, okay, well, optimize. I want to get more of those conversions. So they say, okay, well, let's look at the audience you're targeting. All right, good. So within that audience, we're going to focus on this small group who are similar to those who have converted in the past. That's essentially what optimization is. So Facebook shows your ad to people in your audience most likely to perform that action. So it's not necessarily conversions. It could be a website click. It could be engagement. It could be a video view. The truth is that certain people are more prone to take certain actions. And that's just part of their behavior. So first up, you've got to select your objective. And once again, who knows what yours looks like? It seems like everybody has a different version of this these days. Facebook keeps tweaking this a little bit. But those currently are the objective options that I have. Engagement is actually kind of a master category. And after you click on that, you'll have 4 subcategories of engagement. It includes post engagement, page likes, event RSVPs, and offer claims. And so when you choose an objective, it's usually pretty straightforward and obvious, right? It's like you're selecting your primary goal for that campaign. What is it I think it's really important that people get down to the nuts and bolts of this, that I know you want sales, right? But not every single campaign does that have to be your primary objective. So like I see a lot of people like have a video or they have something that's promoting a blog post and like, well, I want to see how many sales I got. Well, yeah, you can still see how many sales you got, but that's not your primary objective from that. And whether or not it's successful or not isn't dependent upon how many sales you got in some cases. So you need to pick a primary goal for that campaign. Now, there are rare exceptions based on your preferred optimization. So there's some times, and we'll get to this in a little bit, where you do want sales, but the type of optimization that you want to use isn't available under a conversion objective. And we'll get to that in a minute. But usually there are sufficient optimization options available to you based on your objective. So the objective options include, and I feel like this is changing all the time, but brand awareness, local awareness, reach, traffic, engagement. Like I said, it's broken off into 4 subgroups. App installs, video views, lead generation. And be clear, lead generation isn't referring to sending people to your landing page. This is Facebook lead ads. Conversions, product catalog sales, which is basically the dynamic ads option, and store visits, which is something we won't talk about today, but it's kind of interesting. And it's just a matter of actually tracking based on your phone and things like that, whether someone went to your store after seeing or clicking your ad. So there are certain optimization options. Now, some of these are available for only certain objectives, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But first of all, you have the brand. So understand, yes, there is a brand awareness objective. There's also a brand awareness optimization. So when you optimize for brand awareness, this will show it to people most likely to pay attention to your ads. If you optimize for reach, that'll show it to Facebook's going to show it to the maximum number of people, and you can then control how often they see it there too. We're actually going to talk about that one a little bit because I think it is relevant. I use this sometimes for selling. Then daily unique reach is kind of like an older version of reach, in that you can, at least the way I use it, reach people up to once per day when you optimize for daily unique reach. Understand for reach and daily unique reach and impressions is another one. Facebook really isn't optimizing for an action at this point. So with reach and daily unique reach, it's just trying to show it to as many people within your audience as they can, but with some constraints in terms of frequency. In terms of with impressions, Facebook's just trying to show it to as many people as many times as possible, which to me, that can be kind of a waste of money. But there's no optimization. They're not zeroing in on certain people who are most likely to convert or click on a link or something like that. And that takes us to link clicks. Get the most link clicks from your ad to your destination. And a lot of these, Facebook says, for the lowest possible cost. And I think most advertisers overlook that, or they just don't trust that. But understand that this is Facebook's goal. They're trying to get you the most link clicks they can for the lowest possible cost. And in a lot of, I know we often try to manually do our bids and whatnot, thinking we can get our costs lower, but it's not always the case. Post engagement, get the most likes, comments, and shares. So again, Facebook's going to show it to people who've been proven to do that. Page likes, get the most page likes at the lowest cost. Event responses, get the most event interest, so not necessarily even a response, but event interest at the lowest cost. Conversions, get the most conversions at the lowest cost. App installs, get the most app installs at the lowest cost. Pretty straightforward, right? Video views, get the most 10 plus second video views at the lowest cost. And it's good that that's 10 plus second. I think it used to be 3 plus second, which not all that valuable. Then leads, get the most leads from Facebook lead ads at the lowest possible cost. And finally, conversion events. This would be when optimizing for when running your your dynamic ads. People show it to people more likely to take action when viewing products from your catalog. Okay, so just a couple examples of what I'm talking about. So once you've selected reach as your objective, for example, you have certain optimization options. So in this case, your only options in that for that objective are reach and impressions. So as I said before, there's a difference between the two. Reach, trying to show it to the most people as you can, the maximum number of people, whereas impressions is just trying to show the ad to as many people as many times as possible. You can get some waste in that case. And then you've got traffic. And actually, to go back, I guess one slide that I ended up removing, when you use the reach objective, the nice thing is you can then tell Facebook, show it to people no more than every 2 days, or once a day, every 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever. That's a really, really nice option that I use as well. And then traffic, once again, you got the options of link clicks. This would make the most sense. If you're trying to drive traffic, show it to people who have shown Facebook that they're likely to click on links. You also have options of impressions and daily unique reach. But in each of those two cases, though, you're not optimizing for any type of action. Post engagement you could use. Again, I'm only focusing on the ones you could use if you're trying to get conversions. I'm not one to use this, but I know that others have. So engagement's your objective. And so then they'll show it to people most likely to comment, like, and share. And yes, social proof is important. So it's definitely something to experiment with. And then video views, because I know sometimes people use a video when trying to sell something. You can use a video with a conversion objective as well. In my opinion, I don't think that's usually the best use of a video. You probably want to show it to people most likely to actually watch your video in that case, and then maybe remarket to those who watched. Then lead generation. I only include this because I consider that type of conversion. It's just a different way of getting conversion when you're using lead ads. I think in most cases you're probably going to optimize for the lead. Now, if you, just like everything else, if you don't have high volume of leads, you might want to focus on link clicks instead. Okay, that brings us to conversions, which is a little bit more complicated than the other options. So if your objective is conversions, first of all, you have to tell Facebook what it is exactly you're trying to promote, and so that Facebook can track that conversion by default and potentially optimize for it. If you're going to optimize for a conversion, they will optimize for that specific conversion. So in this case, I say, I'm going to promote PHC Basic, which is a product of mine. And so if this were my campaign, this is my ad set, in the reporting by default, that they would report that conversion. So you're selecting a custom conversion or event in that case, by the way, just to be very, very clear. That's what I was choosing from. So Facebook's going to then report those conversions by default in your Facebook ad reports. Didn't used to be that way, by the way, but it is now that when you select it, that's what they're going to report. And if you do have Facebook optimize for conversions, Facebook will optimize for that specific conversion. So in my case, they're going to optimize for people most likely to sign up for my PHC Basic community. And when you do that, though, you got to kind of ask yourself, what kind of volume has happened on that event? Because is it going to be a benefit or a detriment to Facebook being able to optimize? If you don't get much volume, if you haven't sold that product yet, if you only sold 5 of them, how can Facebook properly optimize? How can they learn anything about those conversions to be able to optimize? So what's the volume you have? Does Facebook have enough data to properly optimize? And you should also consider a standard event. So, for example, so I say consider a standard event to aggregate actions and increase volume. So you could do a standard event, select a standard event for purchase, for example. So in that case, Facebook isn't focusing only on the purchases of one product. They'll focus on the purchases across your website. So anytime that standard event purchase is used, they'll aggregate that to optimize, so you get more volume that way. But also consider a custom conversion that captures multiple conversions. So I'll give you an example of that here in a second. But basically, I'll give it to you in a minute. So first of all, ask yourself, yes, how much activity is on a custom conversion? You can see that when you go into custom conversions, and Facebook will show you this is the total number of times this custom conversion fired each day in the last 14 days. And then you can hover over any point within that. And understand these Facebooks aren't just from, these conversions aren't just happening as a result of someone seeing your ad. And it's not just people who referred from Facebook. This is a number of times that page was fired. That pixel was fired on that page. So then you can look at that and it's like, oh, okay, we got 132 in a day. We've got plenty of volume to work with there. But here's an example. Yeah, instead of optimizing for a very specific purchase, we can instead just select that purchase standard event that will aggregate all those purchases that have been made across my website. And that could give Facebook more volume to work with to better optimize. But something also consider, like you could use a custom conversion, but maybe there aren't a lot of conversions that have been executed on that specific custom conversion, right? So an example would be a webinar where the thank you page is similar between multiple webinars. So you can grab a certain portion of that URL that's the same for all of those. So then it would create a custom conversion reporting on all the conversions that happen on any of those events. So an example of when this was used for me is last year I used to do a series of 3 webinars every month. One for beginners, one for intermediates, one for advanced. There's a portion of that URL is the same for all of them. So I could just create a custom conversion for that. And then, so that would include all registrations for any of those webinars. And that is a good way to create more volume for Facebook for optimization purposes. So when you select the conversion objective, your options for optimization are conversions, which Facebook recommends, impressions, link clicks, or daily unique reach. So when your objective is conversions, should you optimize for conversions? Should you optimize for link clicks? Should you optimize for something else? Should you use a different objective? I mean, these are all the questions that are often asked. And to be very clear, it's not black and white. I'm not going to tell you. You should always optimize for conversions. So there always are exceptions. So optimize for conversions when Facebook tends to give different numbers on this. And it changes a little bit, but the main thing is the more the better. So just make sure you have at least 25 to 50 conversions per week if you're going to optimize for that conversion. But that said, that's not even a lot. So the greater the volume, the better Facebook's going to be able to optimize, usually, right? So if you have trouble, if you're not getting great results, this might be one of the reasons if you're optimizing for that action and Facebook just doesn't have much volume. But you should always test. So no, I'm not going to tell you should always use the conversion optimization or the link click optimization or whatever. Always test and compare to other methods. Now you can optimize for link clicks as well. So one reason you might do that is if you have a new product. So it's really not selling yet. So Facebook doesn't have any results to be able to optimize. The first time, if you're going to promote that product the day it's launched, probably a good thing to do would be to optimize for link clicks in that case. Because you just want to drive traffic at least. You want to send people there, and hopefully some of those people will buy. You may also want to optimize for link clicks if you're just not getting high volume of sales at this moment. So Facebook's going to struggle to optimize, so let's at least find something that Facebook can optimize for to send them to that landing page to hopefully buy. But once again, always test compared to other methods. Now, daily unique reach is an option, again, that we talked about a little bit before, that I've used in the past. I have since kind of replaced that with the reach optimization, but that's not available within the conversion objective. But you can optimize for daily unique reach when you have a very small, highly engaged audience. So for example, all these people have registered for something specific. That makes them a prime candidate for this related product. Okay? Or these people bought this product. They'd be prime candidates to buy this other product. So you want to reach everybody in that audience in that case. I found there are very few cases where this exists, right? I have a lot of people like, oh yeah, it's a highly relevant audience. I want to reach 100% of those people. Usually that's not really the case. But if if you've got one of these audiences of like everybody's already registered for something that's related, and it's a small audience, so then it's like, oh, you're going to pick out just like a dozen or 2 dozen or 100 people to target. That's kind of ridiculous. You want Facebook to reach all those people. So you don't want Facebook to optimize for an action in that case. And you also might want to limit the frequency. So that's why you might use daily unique reach, is limit the frequency to once per day. So how are we going to test this? If you did want to test it and say, okay, well, I'm not sure whether I should optimize for conversions or optimize for link clicks. What should I do? Should I create separate ad sets or what? Well, Facebook has this nice new split testing feature that's built in. So when you do this, there's no overlap. And it's more of a scientific test as opposed to just creating 2 separate ad sets where you might have some overlap. So in this case, so when you're in the process of creating your campaign, you select your objective for website conversions. Just click that create split test option, and you can test ad sets against each other to understand which strategies give you the best result. Your potential reach will be divided among your ad sets for accurate split test results. So as you can see, the options are delivery optimization, audience. I think now there's an option for placement too. But like I said, there's no audience overlap. You test a single variable. In this case, we're talking about optimization. And then you can have notifications sent to you as well regarding your results. So here's an example of what that might look like. So you select that you want to set your variable for optimization, and you create one that's conversions, one that's link clicks, and it'll split test, find the result, compare the results between the two. You could also say, okay, I want to optimize for conversions both times, but in one case I want that conversion window to be 1 day, in one case to be 7 days, see which one works best. And we'll talk about conversion window here in a minute. So once you've chosen that split test, you either do an even split test, which I think if you're not doing audience with different audience sizes, I think it makes sense to do an even split test when you're just doing optimization. But you can also do a weighted split test. So in that case, you can have one that's 60%, one that's 40%. But you're always going to have a minimum budget in this case, so keep that in mind, depending on whether that's a fit for how much you're going to spend. But you may, and one thing you can't do with that split testing is compare multiple objectives. So you just have to create separate campaigns in order to do this. But you can use a different objective when conversions may not be your primary goal. So if you want to do video views or engagement, for example, or you just want to try something different. So you can just split test results with engagement optimization. Or if you want to utilize that reach objective in optimization, because like I said, that is something I've been doing. I'm doing it right now for people who registered for my Facebook, my Keys to Success Facebook webinar. I use the reach objective to reach those people promoting this training program, and spending very little bit every day to do that, but just trying to reach as many of those people as I can, but not and try not to overdo it. So I'll limit the frequency as well. But always testing. Once again, try different objectives. There is no black and white that this is universally always going to work better than the other thing. You should try different things. Now, it seems that not everybody has what I have here. Okay, I want to make that very clear. So after selecting your optimization, and if it's going to be conversions, if you decide you want to optimize for conversions, you'll have a conversion window option. Not everybody has this, but I believe everyone at least has the option of a 1-day click or 7-day click. Okay, as you can see, I've got 1-day click, 7-day click, 28 days click. I even got after clicking or viewing your ad, 1-day click or view, 7-day click or view, 28 days click or view. So quite clearly, first of all, 1-day click is going to be the smallest audience for optimization purposes. 28 days click or 1-day view is going to be your largest audience, or just the 28 days click will be large audiences. And I'll get to that here in a minute. But So yeah, the conversion window, select the amount of time it typically takes for someone to complete a valuable action, like a conversion after clicking or viewing your ad. Facebook uses data generated using this time frame to optimize ad delivery. So for example, if your conversion window is 1 day, Facebook will optimize by using data from conversions that happen within 1 day of someone interacting with your ad. So if you've got the type of product, for example, that people don't necessarily make an immediate decision on, it takes some time, maybe it's higher priced, 1 day conversion window may not be ideal. You may want to use 7 day or 28 days. So some considerations when utilizing that conversion window. How long does it take someone to convert? Because if it usually takes longer than a day, then you probably don't want to use the 1 day conversion window. How much volume do you have in 1 day? That's one other thing this is kind of hacking it a little bit. But I would say that even if people typically convert within 1 day, you may want to experiment with 7 day or 28 day window just to give you more volume for Facebook to optimize from. And are view through or click through conversions more likely? Or are view through conversions likely enough to include them? Because for me, they are in a lot of cases, because I email a lot of the same people who I target my ads. So I may get more view through conversions than some people as a result, because I show them the ad, they see the ad, they get the email, it makes the email more likely to work. They click on the email, they convert, and that's an example of why a view through might happen. Okay, so that's optimization. We're already at 36 minutes. Facebook conversion tracking, number 2. So with conversions objective, Facebook tracks conversions by default. Okay, so understand that. But if you've used a different objective, so if you're using the link clicks objective or something else, Facebook doesn't necessarily track your conversions, which is kind of beyond me why that would be. I feel like I want Facebook to always track conversions. There's no real reason not to track conversions at all times. Why not have that data available to you? So what am I talking about? If you use the conversions objective, it just automatically, Facebook is tracking all conversions from your Facebook pixel. Good. Glad to know that. Thank you, Facebook. But if you're doing, say, the traffic objective, now you have an option. And by default, Facebook isn't tracking conversions. I don't understand that. Why? I always change it to track all conversions from my Facebook pixel. So then if I want it, I can go into my ad reports and see how many conversions I actually had just from promoting a blog post, even though that wasn't the main objective. And something else, I thought I'd throw this in there. Even though it's not pixel related, I think offline events are really important. It's something that's pretty new, but I know there are a lot of people that maybe are struggling to show impact of their ads. Well, it could be because some of your conversions are happening offline. So with offline tracking, Facebook will measure your offline conversions. So you'll see results in Ads Manager along with the performance of your ads. So why would you use offline events? Well, do you have a physical store? Is there any reason someone would make a purchase offline? I've heard from a lot of people who've just seen huge changes as a result of this and now able to prove, oh, wow, this really was effective. Because currently, maybe your Facebook conversion numbers are incomplete. Like you're promoting a product, all looks, you think you've got everything there. Like, oh, they drive them to your website, right? Well, especially if you're a local business, they may decide, like, why would I order this online? I can just go down the street. I'm going to be there anyway. I can go buy it. So they make that purchase offline. Facebook doesn't report it to you because you were only tracking the pixel, and you think it didn't work, or at least for that person, when in reality, you got the sale. So this way with offline events, you can combine offline conversions to get a fuller picture of your impact. To do this, you upload a file of sales for Facebook to match up against those who saw or clicked your ad. So obviously the data has to be consistent. You have to, and complete. So you have to have, first name, last name, probably email address, or any data they can use that would be able to match up with someone's profile who they know also saw your ad. I just want to make sure there's nothing I need to know about here. All right. So I'm going to go through this real quick. Again, I know it's not pixel related, but it's conversions related, and that's what this training program is about. So I want to make sure we talked about this. So for offline events, you go into your business manager or your menu, whatever, and under assets, click on offline events. And assuming you haven't created an offline event set before, you click on that green button. Now understand that this is a little bit backwards, okay? Your conversions haven't come in yet, but you want to create an offline event set, okay? So you click on that. You obviously accept your offline terms in events. We read that all the time. You're going to name that event set. You're going to assign ad accounts for ad set for your tracking. So which ad set is this associated with? Okay, and that's it. So understand we've already created that offline event set. Even though there's no offline conversions yet, you can now assign that offline event set to an ad for Facebook to track those offline sales. Obviously, Facebook will not be able to say that there was an offline sale until you upload those events into that event set. Now, obviously, there can be APIs and whatnot to do that for you, but there's a manual way too that just anybody can do. So once you've got, a day, a week, whatever of sales, you want to go in here and click to upline your offline events. And this whole process is a lot like creating a data custom audience. So you've got your customer list, for example, of first names, last names, email addresses, where they live, and all that kind of stuff, phone numbers, and up to 17 different identifiers. So an identifier is data used to match your customers to people on Facebook. So obviously the more identifiers you have, the better, the more likely Facebook will be able to match it up with somebody who saw or clicked on your ad. Here's an example. You can't really see it, but this includes email, like 3 different email addresses if you wanted, phone numbers, lots of stuff, age, name, date of birth, country, you name it. But you also then have to include, obviously, what's the product that they bought, what's the value, what's the currency, and so that they can match it up to people who saw your ad, and then also give you a value for what it is they bought. So you upload that file, and then just like with the data custom audiences, you got to map out the data so you can tell Facebook, okay, this column is for email addresses, this column is for phone numbers, etc. And then you're complete, all done, and now you've got this event set, or these events that are added to your event set, and you know how many records are in it, how many matched records, etc. So then when you run your ads and you want to see how many offline conversions there were, when you customize columns, go under conversions, you got on Facebook, but you also have offline. Obviously, in this case, we want offline. And so those are your offline conversions. You can check all those boxes to see how many of those conversions happened as a result of someone seeing or clicking on your ad. Okay, so that's the offline conversions. Now, there's often some confusion just regarding how Facebook attributes a conversion. So how do they report on conversions? How do they determine which ad gets credit, etc.? So how does Facebook report conversions? Which ad gets credit for conversions? Can multiple ads get credit for the same conversion? This is some confusion that people automatically just assume, well, if I run 4 different ads, couldn't that distort my numbers? Why aren't Facebook and Google Analytics numbers the same? All questions we often get about Facebook conversion attribution. So understand this, the default attribution window, and we kind of already touched on this a little bit, is anyone who sees your ad and then converts within 1 day, or anyone who clicks on your ad and converts within 28 days. So I know there's just like this assumption that Facebook's only counting those people who clicked on your ad and immediately converted. No, that's not the case. There's this large, potentially large group of people who this could also involve who didn't take that direct route to convert. But just know that this can also be customized. So if you don't like to have that view through conversion reported in there, you can remove it. If you don't like it to be 28 days after clicking, you can change it to 1 or whatever you want. So how do you customize that? Within your ad reports, columns, go to customize columns. And the bottom right, you'll see this link for change attribution window. And again, the attribution window is set to 1 day after viewing your ad and 28 days after clicking. And then once you know it, you've got check boxes for 1, 7, and 28 days after viewing and after clicking. And when you select any of those check boxes, Facebook will spit out results that match people who converted within any of those windows. So it can change your results, and maybe it will change it significantly, maybe it won't change it at all. But it's something it's good to know, like how many of your conversions actually view through, and that because the reality is that yes, a click through conversion within 1 day is probably more valuable than a view through conversion. But I think they all do contribute value. But it would probably be good to know if the vast majority of them were clicks within 1 day, for example. So some other things about Facebook conversion attribution. Understand that if one user saw your ad multiple times, only one gets attribution. So that if that ad that received the most recent click, assuming it's within that attribution window of 28 days, or the ad that received the most recent view. So if none of the ads that someone saw before converting, if they didn't click any of them, the attribution would go to the one they saw most recently. But just know that the click, however, takes priority over the view. So if there are 2 different ads and they clicked on one yesterday, saw one today, then converted, it's the one they clicked on yesterday that gets attribution. If they saw 2 ads and they viewed one yesterday, clicked one today, and then converted, it'd be the one where they clicked. If they saw 2 different ads, didn't click on either one of them, it'd be the one they saw most recently, especially if it's within that 1 day window. All right. Another question we often get is why aren't Google Analytics and Facebook numbers the same? Lots of reasons for this. It's not necessarily the case that your Facebook numbers are wrong. Although, kind of like what Nicole was getting to before, maybe it is wrong. But it's not because Facebook is reporting something wrong. It could be because you have it set up wrong. There are lots of reasons on the setup side that it could be too. But understand though, just even if you have everything set up right, Facebook does include those view through conversions. So if you're only looking at Google Analytics direct traffic and referral traffic, it's definitely not going to include view through conversions. And click conversions are also not always immediate. So again, if you're only looking at, okay, what's my referral traffic from Facebook that results in conversions? Well, someone can click, leave, come back later. Someone could return, and that return could be many days later. They could return on a different device, but Facebook could continue tracking it. And the pixel firing could be different too. Oftentimes, the Google Analytics is in the footer of the page, and the Facebook pixel is in the header. So the Facebook pixel is going to load before the Google pixel. But there's also sometimes, Google Analytics or Facebook may be prevented from reporting. So they may be blocked for one reason or the other. There may be incognito mode or other blockers that are preventing one or the other or both from reporting accurately. All right. Goodness, where are we at? We're already at 50 minutes. Like I said, this is going to be a full one today. Let me see how we're doing here, if there are any questions I need to get to right away. Yeah, I'm getting dry mouth here. Lots to talk about. So dynamic ads. This again is related quite a bit to last week, where once we got into that really complex stuff, it gets a little difficult because it's going to depend on how you're set up. But I've said that a few times. I won't dwell on it here. But so what are dynamic ads? Allow you to, and we talked about this a little bit already, but dynamically show ads based on page visited. But it's not just page visited; it'd be actions taken or not taken. Scaled for hundreds of thousands of pages in ads. So as opposed to just manually creating this stuff. So you don't need to create hundreds of individual ads and website custom audiences. So this is really ideal for e-commerce sites with many products. So if that's not you, if you have a site like me, or if you have a manageable number of products where it's like, whatever's manageable to you to be able to create ads for, you may not need this, because the reality is dynamic ads, comparing the dynamic ad for one product to a manually created ad for that same product, the manually created ad is going to do better in most cases, because you can customize the copy and everything like that to be more specific. But the thing is, if you've got hundreds or thousands of products, you're not going to manually create hundreds or thousands of ads. So that's where dynamic ads suddenly make a whole lot more sense. So how do they work? So you upload a product feed XML or CSV file to Facebook of all your products. You obviously install the Facebook pixel. You got to use events on your site that we've talked about before. And you got to select your audience based on actions taken that you want to target. Then you create an ad template. So basically it's like, depending on the page they visit, what kind of ad are they going to see? And automatically pull in certain information. Again, that's where that product feed XML is going to feed into these ads. It's going to fill those ads. So the first thing you have to do is you have to create a product catalog. And this is done within your business manager. Under people and assets, you would select product catalogs. You want to add a new product catalog and create that new product catalog. Going to name that bad boy. You determine, what people would have access to that product catalog if you want to do that. And you have to associate that with whatever pixels and apps you want to use with that catalog. So this is going to be important for the dynamic ad portion of this, is you want to associate it with the proper pixel. And then you're done. You're done with creating that catalog. At least now we have to actually upload the file though. So you create a new product catalog. Okay, now let's add that product feed to that product catalog. So you can either do just a static file, like this is the list of all my products. And that may make sense for like someone who maybe doesn't have this huge website that would have constant changes every day. But you have like 100 products. That it's like, okay, it's not going to change very often, but I'm not going to create ads for 100 different products manually. So you can either do it manually or with a static feed, static file, or can use an XML feed where Facebook has to access it on a regular basis. So you get scheduled recurring uploads or a single upload. And if you're doing a regular upload, you can tell Facebook how often they can access it. You got to give Facebook the feed URL. And then you also have to provide a username and password so they can access that feed. But you can also add just a static product file, just a one-time access, and upload that file. They give you the types of formats that are available too. And again, here's a rundown of the various formats: CSV, TSV, RSS, XML, Atom XML. And then you can, from there, you can download a sample feed of each one to see what it looks like. So this is essentially what a product feed will look like, what Facebook is looking for in a product feed. You got the product ID, the title, the link to that product, the description of that product category, product type, condition. There's going to be price. There's going to be lots of stuff in there. You start thinking about it. Why would that be necessary? Oh, yeah. We're talking about dynamic ads. So that Facebook can automatically pull in what is the title? What is the link to this? What's the image link to this? What's the price? What's the description? So all that stuff's going to be important to fill your dynamic ads. So the required fields there are your ID, the title, the description, the link, the image link. Again, creating an ad here. The condition and the availability. So if it's not available anymore, Facebook won't show that ad. Also, of course, the price. Also some basic branding as well. So the first thing you got to do is create the campaign. So the objective would need to be product catalog sales in this case if you're going to do dynamic ads. And you want to choose the objective of product catalog sales and select your product catalog that we're going to pull from for these dynamic ads. So when creating the ad set, we need a product set first. So the product sets are a smaller group of products you choose to show in your ads from your catalog. So what is it you want to appear in these ads? So in this case, is it all products, or is there a specific product set that I want to show? Then we have to determine who sees these ads. So again, this is completely different from any other ad set creation. Dynamic ads are completely different when selecting our audience. So we can choose from anyone who's viewed or added to cart but did not purchase a product from that ad, that product set during the past 14 days. People who added to cart but not purchased only during a certain number of days. You can upsell certain products, so promote products to people who viewed that product set in a certain product set in the last certain number of days. Cross-sell, so people who already purchased something. And then custom combination, where then you can get crazy with different logic. So again, a little more detail there on the upsell. People who viewed specific products from this other product catalog. So not necessarily the product catalog that's going to populate your ads, your dynamic ads. You could actually, but you can choose that here. So it certainly could be the same thing. Or cross-sell. So people purchase something else. So they already purchased something related. Let's show them ads from this other related product set. And then custom combinations. So that's where you can start doing a little bit more logic. So you can add inclusions and exclusions. So include audience interactions with certain products, and lots you can do there. It's kind of like creating website custom audiences with the more complicated logic. Now, something they've added recently is that you can add some advanced options as well for your targeting. So if you only then want to include people within certain custom audiences or live in certain locations, age groups and whatnot, that the other targeting matters only so much, you can include all that here as well. Then when creating your ad template, you decide, okay, do I want to use an ad carousel where we're going to show multiple products in a single ad, or we're going to focus on a single image for this ad. Then when we're creating our template, we're going to decide if we want to add a card with a fixed image at the beginning. This is, again, if you're doing carousel. Or add a card at the end with your page profile picture. You don't have to add one in either case. You can have a see more URL if you want. Again, that would be if you're adding one of those cards. Otherwise, you're gonna put in the text, the headline, the news feed description. And as you can see here, if you click on that plus button, that'll allow you to pull that stuff automatically in. So I don't know what product I'm promoting here, right? But I can automatically pull in product name A, whatever that is, as somebody who clicked or viewed or whatever, however we define the audience in the ad set, to show them that particular product. And here again, this is how that works. You click on that plus button, you can automatically pull in the name, the brand, description, the price, current price. And this is a little bit more of like an older view of what this template looked like, but then you can kind of see it come together a little bit better. Okay, so whatever text you want, you can kind of fill in the blanks by automatically pulling in the name of the product or the price or whatever you want there with those variables. You have the headline, customize the headline, the product description, add a call to action button, and it can be really effective if you're promoting lots and lots of products. Now, once again, so those are the basic steps. So you create a product feed. Everybody can do that. You have to have the pixel on your site. You have to create standard events or events for your site. But that's where it becomes a little bit trickier, like we said. Okay? And last week as well, it depends on how your site is set up. So if you use WooCommerce, there are multiple ways to do this. Pixel Your Site Pro has WooCommerce integration to make this really easy for creating dynamic ads. Pixel Caffeine also integrates with WooCommerce. We talked about both of those plugins the past few weeks. That's one you can use as well. So, because right now you can see that I use Pixel Caffeine. I don't use WooCommerce, so it doesn't detect that e-commerce plugin. Otherwise, I could have started doing all that integration. But additionally, there's really easy integration with Shopify. So if you use Shopify, I'll provide a link to that for you to go through those steps to set up dynamic ads. Or if you have Magento as well. So there's several options there for you in order to get dynamic ads working for you. Okay, already at an hour, but now we're at funnel strategies. This will probably be the shortest portion anyway. So funnel strategies, that I feel like this is a necessary part that if we had stopped now, you wouldn't have gotten enough out of this yet, or you may not have. There's a lot of value here because it's a missing part of most advertising strategies. So why do you need a funnel strategy? Sales shouldn't be your only priority, and far too often it is. Hear from advertisers like all they're trying to do is sell. They did really well for the 6-month period selling. Now they can't get any sales. Well, are you running a funnel? No. We're just trying to sell stuff. Funnels are really important for long-term sustained success. Understand also those who engage are more likely to register for something. Those who register are more likely to buy something. Those who have bought before are likely to buy again. So how are you going to make sure that you have audiences of people who have engaged with you, who have registered with you, who bought before? You got to build that funnel. So those who don't know you are least likely to act. I've seen it so many times. It's just not even close. And let me say this. Anyone who's found success selling something, using interests and lookalikes, don't be satisfied. First of all, congratulations. Don't be satisfied. Understand, if somebody knows you, they're much, much more likely to make that purchase. So it's going to be cheaper. So what are we going to do about that? We've got to build those audiences of people who know us so that they're more likely to opt into something, to buy something from me. So a funnel strategy will help build each level of that funnel so you can drive more traffic at a much easier rate. I mean, I have a lot of success driving traffic. It's probably way too easy for me to promote webinars and things like that with Facebook ads because I'm targeting people in most cases who know who I am. And it's also easier for me to sell something. So the more engagement, when I say engagement, it's just because you can use different types of engagement to remarket to. I like to remarket to people who have gone to my website. But I've also used that new Facebook page engagement custom audience, which is really effective. So that's another thing. So you get people engaged with your posts, remarket to them to get registrations. People who register for the things are more likely to then buy something. So it's all part of that funnel. So some strategies of funnels. Understand that you don't need to pick one objective at a time. I often hear people ask, well, okay, I've been selling all this time. So how long should I be building my email list? Or how long should I be building my website traffic before I can start selling to them or trying to get them to opt into something? You don't need to pick just one objective. Ideally, you should be doing these things all the time. You should always be promoting helpful content. That could be a blog post, could be a video, or whatever. You should always be promoting opt-ins. You should always be promoting products. It's just a matter of what groups of people are you targeting to do those things. Because if you don't have a big audience, a big built-in audience of people who have engaged with you, have registered for something before, then obviously you can't spend much on that audience. So over time, your goal should be to move more and more of your budget to people who know who you are. So I always do these things at the same time. It's not always the same content. It's not always the same opt-in. It's not always the same product. But I'm always promoting my latest blog post. I'm always promoting at least one opt-in. Actually, I'm usually promoting at least 2 blog posts at a time right now because I've got the entrepreneurial stuff. I'm always promoting at least 2 opt-ins at a time right now because I got my keys to success and my free webinar for entrepreneurs. And at the moment, I'm only promoting the Facebook Pixel training program. I could also, I'm promoting PHC as well. So those things are always being promoted in separate campaigns. So in promoting content, I always promote my latest blog post. I don't promote it for very long usually. I focus first on those closest to me when I target them. So it could be just anybody who's read and visited my website before. And I usually spend $40 per day. But of course, understand, I've got hundreds of thousands of people I can target who have visited my website before. So if you don't have that, I would start, first of all, with whatever budget you can sustain for targeting your website visitors. And then you got to start moving away from people closest connect. But you can also target people who have engaged your Facebook page. You can target people who have engaged with your videos. And then you can start looking at things like lookalike audiences, or you can target your fans, but lookalike audiences or interests. But the main thing is that you start with people closest to connect to you first. I also then increase or decrease my budget based on performance. One way you can do that is with Facebook's automated rules. So the cost, it seemed to go up for me a little bit lately, and maybe that's just because I'm spending more money. So it's usually been 10 cents or even below. Now we're looking more in that 10 cents to 20 cents per website click range. And obviously, if it's closer to 10 cents, I might push it longer and spend a little bit more. But usually promotions only last me 1 week when I'm promoting a blog post, because then I have a new blog post. And promotion can last longer when something's doing really, really well, right? So if I'm getting 5 cents per website click, I better raise that budget and start promoting it longer and take advantage of it. And then I also promote opt-ins. So I prioritize targeting people who have visited my website first. Ideally, focus on the people who visit most often, because those will be more likely to opt into something. So they visit more often, and they maybe visited more likely or more recently. If it's topic specific, I focus on people reading that content. So for example, I now have entrepreneurial topics and entrepreneur webinar, right? So when I promote my entrepreneur webinar, I target people who have read my entrepreneurial posts. And to do that, I just put entrepreneur in all of those blog post URLs to create that type of custom audience. Now, my webinars, also keep in mind, are reoccurring. So it's a constant promotion. So as a result, it's not like something I'm just building up for this one like big launch. It's a constant thing. So I can let it kind of be on more of a low simmer. But additionally, then it's also ideal to promote it on shorter duration, meaning people who visit my site during the past 30 days or 14 days or whatever it is. Something so they don't see the same ad for months on end. Now, when looking to ramp up the promotion, which actually I just got done doing this last week, I do expand my audience. I don't just target only people who have engaged with me in that case. I do raise the budget. I target interests or lookalikes in those cases, but I also do it understanding the cost per registration will be higher, sometimes quite a bit higher for those groups. And really, I know this too, quality will be lower too. So it's just a matter of, is it still worthwhile to get that lower quality, higher cost registration? How likely are they to buy? Then I do promote products. So my priority is targeting people who opted in. But I also do target people who have engaged with my website at times as well in that case. But right now, I'm targeting people who have registered for something specific. and the opt-in is related to the product. So an example of that would be my Key Success Facebook ad, Facebook webinar promoting this particular training program. And in that case, the audience is going to be small. So it's going to be a few thousand people. And I use a reach objective in that case, so I can eliminate optimization. I want to reach all those people who registered for that webinar. And my budget then is really, really low. And that's okay, because it's highly effective and efficient. I rarely do an all-out blitz marketing approach to sales, because it's just like, it's an ongoing thing, right? So again, I don't have a high budget, but when I do, say, announce a new product, I might expand to beyond doing just people register for something, all of my website visitors or more of my most engaged website visitors for that short period of time, so I can spend a little bit more. Then finally, there's this concept of evergreen campaigns. Now, this is something that I've brought up before, and you may have even seen in my free webinar, but I just want to make sure to bring it up again, because I think it's really, really good as being part of this funnel approach. So the whole concept of evergreen campaign is running a continuous campaign that targets an audience for a limited amount of time, so it doesn't exhaust that person. So they're only going to see that ad for, say, 14 days, even though you're going to keep running that campaign. So you're going to send users down a funnel after performing a certain trigger action. So in this case, it could be they registered for my webinar. That's the trigger action that they only do once. And then I show them different ads to that same user every few days. So this is all possible through the use of durations with custom audiences. So first 4 days they see one ad, the next 4 days they see another ad, next 4 days they see another ad. So an example is my ebook to membership evergreen campaign that I did, and it triggers a subscription to my old lead ads ebook. And the final objective is signing up for my Power Hitters Club. So this is a brief example of how that worked. So the first 4 days, I welcomed them after subscribing to that ebook, and actually sent them to, and this is actually kind of similar to what I do these days for anyone who's new to my email list. I'll send them an email welcoming them and telling them more about myself and sending them to my About Me page. And then during 5 days, 5 to 8, I send them more content related to that topic. Days 9 to 12, I show them an ad featuring other content that I've written. It's still on Facebook ads, but not necessarily on lead ads. And then finally, I introduce them to my product. So clearly, I could have just gone straight to introducing them to the product in the beginning, and it still could be an evergreen campaign, because it would just be like days 1 to 12, whatever. After registering, they're going to see this ad. And that works too as an evergreen campaign, but I kind of warmed them up in this case. And then days 17 to 20, I was like, hey, maybe this isn't even right for you. And I had a whole article about whether it was a good fit. Okay. So your assignment, obviously we don't have next week, so I should take that out. First of all, test your results when optimizing for conversions or link clicks. Oh, I was afraid of that. I forgot to put in the rest of them there. I will email you the rest of the assignment here when I get that replay out to you. I could have sworn I put the rest of those in there. It must still be in my notes. So be patient. I'll get those out by the end of today. So what's next? Yeah, I've been talking about this for a while. I want to do another training program, and I decided the topic for this is going to be on Business Manager, because I feel like there's a lot of questions people have on that topic. It's probably number 2, right? First of all, it's the Facebook Pixel, and the other topic that everyone has questions about is Business Manager. So that said, I haven't decided if it's going to be launched in April or if we're going to wait yet another month. But I want to create a wait list just today, right before starting this webinar today. And if you go to johnloomer.com/business-manager-wait-list, you can sign up for the wait list, so you'll be the first to know when it's ready. But also you can provide some input in terms of what you'd like to see in that covered in that 4-week training program. All right. Q&A time. Got to get. Oh, wow, we got a whole bunch of questions all of a sudden. Hold on 1 second. So John asked, how long will we have access to this course's webinar replays? I don't go into this thinking these are going to expire at a certain time. The main thing is, like everything else with Facebook ads, it probably is only going to be relevant for a year or so, and that's just the way Facebook ads work, right? And that's really why I do it as part of these 4-week training programs, as opposed to static training courses with modules and things like that, because it's just shelf life is terrible. So I do it live, where it's easy to update things as necessary when it's live, right? So that's the answer, really. I mean, I have no plans to remove it, and so I wouldn't expect it to go away anytime soon. Hopefully that answers your question. And Greg, thanks. Greg was commenting about baseball earlier at the beginning. Baseball season starting tomorrow for my boys. Everybody, for those who don't know, it's a big part of my life. So Ben said, when Facebook says optimize towards a conversion, what does that mean? What is Facebook doing to optimize? So, I did my best to explain that, but essentially, this is why you provide a specific conversion in the first place, in the form of a custom conversion or an event. So Facebook is looking at those who have converted in the past, understanding what those people are like, how they behave, and then of the people you're targeting, focusing on those most similar to those who have converted recently. Okay, so that's essentially what optimization means. And if it's not for conversion, it's for a link click, same thing. Showing it to people most likely to click links. Showing it to people most likely to engage with posts. Showing it to people most likely to view a video. That's essentially what optimization is. Ben said, what's the risk if we optimize for conversions but only average 2 to 3 a week? What's the downside? Why would link clicks be better? The risk is that you waste a whole bunch of money. So I mean that's the downside. Clicks would be better. Well, first of all, the other issue with optimizing for a conversion where Facebook can't optimize, that's often an example of what leads to Facebook not showing your ad at all, because they struggle with that. So what we want to do in the early going is at least drive traffic. Well, also understand that Facebook may be completely confused by the data that they have when it's 2 to 3 a week. And so showing it to that group of people optimized for conversion, as opposed to at least showing it to people who've been proven to want to click on a link, we at least want to send traffic, and we get volume of traffic going to that landing page. We hope then that will result in more. Again, it's no guarantee it's going to result in more conversions. But if you have nothing to optimize for, because you don't have any conversions yet, that's where I would start. But again, I think, Ben, that's an example where you may want to do that split test, compare the results, see what works best for you. TQ says, Ad Espresso has graphs and numbers and quick ways to stop certain ads when they're not performing. How can we do that with Power Editor if possible? How do we split ads up in sets and such to test options for copy, demographics, ad locations, such, so we can stop what's not working automatically? How do you split up dollar amounts? So a couple things there. First of all, make sure you're using automated rules so that you can automatically stop stuff that isn't working based on certain rules. So if the cost per conversion, cost per website click, or whatever, at a certain rate, raise the budget, lower the budget, stop the campaign, whatever. That's the first thing. I'll definitely use that split testing feature that I talked about earlier. And otherwise, I monitor pretty closely, but those automated rules help quite a bit too. How often are you looking at ad reports? A couple times per day, 2-3 times per day. You don't need to micromanage either, because honestly, especially when you have decent volume, it's not going to change tremendously from 6 hours ago to now. So, but also you don't want to make huge changes based on small sample sizes. We're like, oh, it went from 5 cents per conversion to 75 cents per conversion. Well, it's because you've only had 2 conversions and you've only spent $1.50, right? So you have to be careful of micromanaging that too. Michael said, what's the difference between 1 7/28-day click and 1 7/28-day click or view? So the 1 7/28-day click or view is going to be larger because it's going to include people who either clicked and converted or only viewed without clicking but ended up converting. Okay, so people who viewed your ad. So that's how they're optimizing, is based on people who have converted in that way in the past. Okay, lots of questions. Lydia says, I'm new to Facebook ads and I'm only using Ads Manager at the moment, but does it have all the features, or should I be looking to use Business Manager? It's funny because I've been using Business Manager for so long. I just assumed that, because for the longest time, Facebook said they're going to force everyone to use it. So I've heard of people saying something similar like what you're saying, where they weren't forced to use it yet. I guess, look, if you're only going to use one ad account, one pixel, you're not going to advertise for others, that kind of thing. If Facebook's not forcing you to use Business Manager, it may not be required. But if you want to do dynamic ads as well, again, it's tough for me to say because I haven't accessed an account without Business Manager to know what's not even there. But I use Power Editor instead of the main Ads Manager. Those things are kind of merging together a little bit, though, these days. And but honestly, if all you do is use Ads Manager, you can be effective there too. I definitely prefer Power Editor, though, in terms of ad creation. Ad monitoring, Ads Manager is the way to go. So help us through how to make rules to stop ads and plus up others. Looking for a system to say stop this ad with this performance, increase this ad with this performance. So essentially, TQ, it's just a matter of making a list of what your thresholds are in the first place, because my thresholds aren't going to be the same as your thresholds, and it's going to be different by objective. It's also going to be different based on what it is you're promoting. It's going to be different based on the audience you're promoting it to, because I have different expectations in terms of what is my cost per conversion when I'm selling different products. I have different expectations for cost per website click or whatever it is. But so that's the main thing, is that that's a really simple one, is based on the cost per website click if you're driving traffic. That you can raise your budget 25% if it's under a certain threshold. You can lower it 25% if it's over a certain threshold. You can stop it if it's over at even a higher threshold. So, an example of how I use that is if it's under 10 cents over a 1 day period, as long as I get in the volume, I raise it 25%. If it's over 25%, I stop the ad. If it's over 20 cents, I'm sorry, I said percent, but if it's over 20 cents, then I lower the budget 25%. That's with driving traffic. It's the way I've used it. But again, it's going to be different for every type of objective and product you're promoting. But all it is you sitting down and thinking about, if I were to do this manually, what kind of rules am I setting? That's it. And then you apply it with the automated rules. So Lydia says, when you input the sales information for the offline measurements, is this something you should also do to more accurately measure the actual conversion amounts that occur online? I'm running campaigns that span across lots of different products, different costs per product, so I'm confused as to how I should use the conversion value of the campaign to my directors. I honestly hadn't thought about that, using it for online as well. You certainly could, because there could be cases where, let me think about this. No, you should already have that data. If they did it online, you should already have that data. You should be creating custom audiences from that data. Look, I guess it's. I'm sorry, I'm thinking on the fly here. I guess it's possible, not real likely, but possible, someone converted who saw your ad and Facebook doesn't report it as a result of the pixel. Now the problem is, so this is why I think we shouldn't do this. You shouldn't take the online data that was collected, create and turn that into an offline event set, because that could result in Facebook double counting. So only use the offline event set for your offline sales. Otherwise, rely on the pixel. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, TQ says, for rules, are all active ads just in the campaign you're in, or all ads across all campaigns? So you can either select individually the ads that are in that campaign. Otherwise, it'd be for all active campaigns. Do you mix audiences when you're starting close and expanding, or lookalikes in the same campaign as website visitors? Yeah, I'll have them in the same campaign. They're just in different ad sets. So they're definitely not in the same ad set. They're still kept separate by placing them in different ad sets. And yeah, Greg, I'm going to have a blog post on this. He asks, how do you structure the ads to show for a certain amount of time, then show a different ad and then another as you explain your evergreen campaign? Yeah, that's one of those things that's it's pretty complicated. But I wrote a blog post about evergreen campaigns, and I'll make sure to have that in the replay notes. But essentially, it's with website custom audience durations. So you create durations of, say, 4 days. So 4 days since performing that trigger action. So we'll say 4 days since somebody hit the thank you page after registering for this webinar. So you got 4 days, 8 days, 12 days, 16 days. We'll say that. Okay, you've got those 4 different website custom audiences. So in one ad set, we'll target anyone who visited, who performed that action, who visited the thank you page during the last 4 days. In the other next ad set, we're targeting people who visited during the last 8 days, excluding those who did it during days 1 to 4. Hopefully that makes sense. John said, being that we are limited to 40 custom conversions, can you delete custom conversions that you don't need anymore and replace them with more relevant ones? These days you can. Originally you could not. I got to think there's going to be a day eventually where there's no limit, but yes, the limit is now 40. So if you no longer use those custom conversions, I'd still be selective about what you delete. But or if you have any duplicates in there, anything that's never been used at all, feel free to delete those. Hey, John, I'm Philip. Hey, Philip, at first, congrats for your very informative course you provide. Thank you. I'd like to ask for an early stage of the Facebook Pixel. If you think that my questions are out of date. Okay, 10 days ago I installed, okay, I get what you're saying. So 10 days ago I installed my Pixel on my website, and directly I created some general custom audiences. My question is about the huge difference I have between the Facebook Pixel fires and the size of the custom audience which has been created. So although the Facebook Pixel report shows 609 fires, my custom audience, anyone who visits your website, has 40 people. Why is this happening? Did I said something wrong? Well, the first thing is understand 609 fires does not mean 609 unique people. So that's the first thing that could be happening there is you've got 40 people who visited for those 609 fires. In addition, I have one more question. When I created the Facebook pixel and then installed, I realized it is split into two parts. So page view, advanced events. So number of 600 fires is split on 300. Okay, you might have to email on that one. I'm not real sure what you're talking about there. Do you know why I see leads on the confirmation page but not the views for the landing page? I don't know. So, I mean, it might be a matter of having the pixel on the wrong page. So is it possible you have the pixel on the thank you page and not the landing page? Or excuse me, on the landing page but not the thank you page? Is there any, otherwise if it's set up appropriately, I'd think, is there any other way that someone could get to the thank you page? And those would be questions I'd have to ask. Because Facebook only knows that the pixel is on a certain page and they report it when it loads. That's it. And when it loads, or if someone who's seen or clicked on an ad where it loaded for them. Besides Facebook Business Manager, Power Editor, do you use AdEspresso or any other third-party advertising tool? Not really. I've experimented with AdEspresso. I use a couple tools for syncing custom audiences. So I use DriftRock Flow for syncing my data custom audiences, so I don't have to update those. I use Zapier for updating my lead ad custom audiences. I have experimented with, I always forget the name of it. It's a tool for helping me create overlap with lookalike audiences. But other than that, I usually stick to Power Editor's getting better all the time, and the Business Manager. How far do you break down ad sets to run rules and testing? Do you have 2 or 3 big big sets and use reporting to break down the reporting by delivery, demographics, etc.? I'm trying to follow what you're asking me there. For most campaigns, I'll have anywhere from 2 to 5 different ad sets. And but I'll break down results. But what I don't do, what some people do, is they'll create different ad sets based on placement and things like that. I just create different ad sets, usually based on audience. They'll do that split testing as well by optimization. But also break down the ad reports to view results by placement, even if all placements are in the same ad set. Also view the results by demographics. So if I need to make any changes, I can see that within my breakdown of my Facebook ad results. Hopefully that answers your question. Thank you, Matthew. All right. I think that's about it. Thanks again for your patience, and thanks for being along for the first time I ever run this Facebook Pixel program. I'll get you the replay here within the next few hours. And sorry again about not getting the entire assignment for you yet. I'll have that sent to you along with the replay. And see if you have any questions, let me know. But definitely give me a shout too if the Business Manager program is something you'd be interested in. Once again, just to show me that you're interested, this would help. So it'll help me know that whether I need to get it going or not. Just go to johnlimber.com/business-manager-wait-list to register for that wait list, to not only know that you're interested, but to collect your feedback and make sure it's as helpful and useful as possible. But otherwise, thanks again, and I'll get that replay to you soon. Hopefully you found this useful. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.